Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to the video. And in this video, I would love to chat to you about what happens if you start really focusing and fixating and putting all your energy into the symptoms of DPDR rather than some of the more proactive things you can be doing to help you overcome the DPDR. And for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name's Dan. And I do help people overcome their DPDR by using coaching techniques so you can live a life free of this, free of DPDR, getting back to your normal life. First of all, I want to acknowledge that it is tremendously difficult not to focus on the symptoms of depersonalization and derealization because they're so encompassing. They might be so new to you. They might be so scary. You might not be used to this way of thinking, might not be used to sort of what they're bringing up and how they're making you feel and all that type of stuff. So I get it. I get that it's really, really difficult to not be able to focus on the symptoms. What happens if you focus on the symptoms? You start to believe you need to fix the symptoms rather than fixing the real core issues that are causing them. For example, you do breathing exercises to help calm your anxiety. You fix the symptom of anxiety rather than fixing the core reason you're getting anxious in the first place. This is a really big one because a lot of people think that you need to fix the symptoms. And while sort of working on how to manage the symptoms is going to be really beneficial for you to be able to cope with them while you are recovering, if you only do it because you think, oh, all I have to do is fix the way I'm feeling and then I'm going to be okay after that, it's probably not the right way to go because essentially all you're doing is covering up a symptom of a bigger underlying issue. Another thing which happens if you really start to focus on the symptoms is you start to use the symptoms as excuses for why you can't do something, which will hinder your progress. For example, you might start saying things like, I can't do that because I experience XYZ. Or I think I'll feel scared, worried, detached, or whatever it is if I try that, so I won't. Essentially, these are excuses. The symptoms will have a hold over you, a power over you, if you let them. So do you want your symptoms running your life or you running your life? I know right now the symptoms do feel like you. So it might be really difficult to be able to continue with life because they are having such a big impact. But that's something you really need to consider. Are you using the symptoms as an excuse of why not to do something? So it's important to sort of be a little bit honest with yourself and perhaps recognize any patterns where you're saying, well, I can't do this because of XYZ, or I'm not going to do that because of XYZ. If you focus on the symptoms, you'll get better at focusing on them and they'll get stronger. So what we focus on is pretty much what we get. If you focus on them, then that's what you'll get. If you're always fixating and focusing on the symptoms, the better you'll get at fixating and focusing on the symptoms. And so the stronger they'll become. I've mentioned this before in other videos about where does your focus lie and also about habits. Right now, you're probably in the habit of focusing on them. And while I acknowledge that it is something which is hard to avoid, what you've got to realize here is that the more you focus on them, the more you fixate on them, the more that you let them dictate how your life is going to go, you'll get to a point where you'll just accept that this is your life now. And as bad as this is, and as untrue as this is, it's hard not to believe that this will be forever when it's having such a big impact on your life. Once you fall into this mindset of, well, this is just my life now, so I'll just make the most of it, it's a lot harder to get out of that mindset because you're giving up. Let's take a mini pause here. And before we get into what you should do instead of focusing on the symptoms and how to do that, I just really want to reassure you that right now you are in the very worst of it. You're in the very depths of it, like it's all consuming. I know, I get it. It's not fun at all. It does really suck. But you can take that as a seed of hope that if you can get through this, then afterwards, when you're fully recovered, you'll be able to get through anything. And also that if you are at rock bottom right now, pretty much the only way to go is to improve. And whether that happens incrementally or whether that happens very quickly or very slowly, it doesn't really matter, because once you start to see that sense of improvement and that hope, then that's going to snowball you into a much quicker recovery from DPDR. What to do instead? I do acknowledge that when you're experiencing the symptoms of DPDR, it's really hard not to focus on them. It's not fun. The important thing is to try not to fight the feelings or push them away, rather to acknowledge them non-judgmentally and let them do their thing. While this is happening, you can reassure yourself that you're in the worst of it at the moment. This isn't forever and things will get better. The more you fight something, the more it will resist. Think of two people arguing with raised voices. Does anything ever get resolved? No. However, if those two people were to come together calmly and have a candid conversation, a lot more is going to be resolved. And it's the same with your symptoms. The more you fight them and push them away, the more they will push back. Really, what I'm getting here is that if you try and fight the symptoms and just say, I don't want them there, go away, I'm just going to ignore you, that's actually not going to do a whole lot. All you're going to do is just make them come back even stronger or stay there. You can't help that you have these symptoms. You can't help that you have DPDR. This isn't your fault. If you do these things of, just allowing those sort of symptoms and thoughts and whatever else it is there to just sort of be there and just not try and push them away, not try and engage with them, not try and welcome them or anything like that. Just let them be there and let them do their thing while you go about your daily business. Then this is sort of the paradox, right? It's sort of the paradoxical logical thing between them, is that that's the way that you essentially get rid of them, is you just sort of let them be there, and then you're not fighting them, therefore you're not fighting yourself. And so eventually they're going to come to pass. Mindfulness is a great way to do this. And the idea of mindfulness is where you just sort of see the thoughts, you don't engage them, and you just sort of let them pass by. And what this does and why this is so effective is because it is so non-judgmental. You're not saying this is bad, or you're not saying this is good. You're just saying this is a symptom, I've got it, and I'm just going to keep going with what I'm going with. And this form of mindfulness, I think, will really help you. It will take a little bit of practice because it is a new habit that you're going to have to build. I've recently done a video about habits, so check that out to help you form the new habit of mindfulness, if that's something that you want to do. And realize that this, combined with talk therapy and also, groundingness and all these other type of things, are really what's going to help you overcome this. My friends, I hope you've learned a little bit from this video. And if you have learned something, or if you did like it, then consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. And until next time, I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.